Good morning, everyone. We're just going to give it one more minute for a couple more people to join on, and then we'll unmute everybody at that point.
There we go. Hello.
Good morning, everyone. We're starting to unmute and get everybody's videos on as well. We're going to just say hi to everybody, and then we're going to unmute. Then we're going to mute everybody and hide your videos just for the quality of the webinar. So just be patient with us, and we want to start in exactly 1 minute.
Hello? Yes, Evan.
Okay. Well, good morning on a Wednesday morning. Appreciate everybody joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started. People will be straggling in, and we're going to start moving everybody over to attendees. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Saima, do you want to just chime in and talk about hands up and questions and that kind of stuff, and then Q&A at the end? So I want to introduce Saima Hawk. She's our business partner, and she basically makes all this happen. I basically get to talk, and she makes it all happen at the back end.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us so early. I appreciate it very much. So I'm going to be moving everybody over to status from panelist to attendee. This way, all your video will be hidden and you'll be muted. There is a button you can click to raise your hand. I will see if you raise your hand, and then we promote you back to panelists so you can join the conversation or add to what Licky is saying at any time. So if you guys can just have a quick moment to define where that is so you're familiar. At the end, we're going to have about a 10-minute Q&A, and I will, at that point, promote everybody back to panelists so they can join the conversation freely. Okay?
And as we're moving along, and if you have a question, just put it in the chat window. Saima will moderate that, and if we can fit it in right there, we will. If not, we'll wait till the Q&A. Okay, let's get started. So today we're going to start, I want to first just thank everyone for taking the time to wanting to make a difference in your relationships with your clients, with your employees, with your families. This was marketed as a Sales Academy online workshop. My take on that is it's not a sales workshop. It's actually a building relationships workshop. And we're going to talk a lot about what value means and how we take value under, I'm going to say more, we take it for granted. We all provide it, but we all take it for granted, and we want to make sure that we build deeper value connections so we can move ahead in life. Now, what is value? We talk about the Webster's meaning. Webster's meaning is the relative worth or desirability of a thing to the end user or beholder. So everybody has its own perception of value. And this is the meaning of value from Webster's. And then what is profit? Profit is an increase in happiness, the result of exchange one situation for a better situation. And we talk about what is a profit your client or customer receives, and basically what happens is the belief that an individual would willingly accept something unprofitable to him or himself or herself. Now, I want to just go back a bit and just talk a little bit about what, to me, value means. Value, if we start talking a little bit about, let's talk about relationships. I use this analogy quite a bit when I do conversations, and I say, okay, so you're going on a family trip, and one of you is driving the car. Now, to drive the car, it's a 5,000-pound car. It requires a lot of attention. It requires a lot of detail. It requires mapping it out, making sure that you're getting to where you want to get to. So the person driving the car is putting all their energy, keeping the family safety, making sure that we get to where you want to get to. Now, I would say, what's the person sitting next to you? What's their purpose in that trip? What are they doing to make sure that what they're bringing to that trip equals or is greater than what the driver is doing? Now, most couples will go on a family trip, and the husband will drive or the wife will drive, and then the partner says, "Hi, how are you?" Blah blah blah. Turns the music on, falls asleep. Or the other person is sitting there making sure that the driver is fed, water, conversations, huge conversations, navigating, making sure that the kids are taken care of. Now it's an equal value in that conversation. Now, if we take that into a business environment, and we start talking about restaurants, for example, I have one of my favorite steakhouses is Gotham's in Vancouver. Now, they make a great steak. It's not the most reasonable place to go to, but every time I get the bill, I never look at it. I just pay it. And it never concerns me or questions me about why I'm paying that much for that meal. Now, that's my perception of value, because when I go there, they treat me well. They treat everybody well. The food's very consistent. It's actually an incredible place to have conversations with clients. They leave you alone, and it's actually a good place to build relationships. Now, somebody else can say, I get the exact same treatment at Mr. Mike's. And that's true. Mr. Mike's has a great steak. They do a good, consistent meal all the time. So value is perception of the person who's actually receiving it. But if you understand, the value is also based on consistent, deliverable, and building the conversation up with that. So if you're not able to be consistent in what you're doing, then you're not bringing the value. So I'm going to just go back a little bit into this conversation here. I'm hoping everybody can see the screen. If you can, please put your hands up. So, the universal fallacy, the belief that an individual would willingly accept something unprofitable to himself or herself. Now that we understand the story of life, we never have to wonder as to the basic reason why people will do something or not do something. It's because that by doing so, or by not doing so, it will bring them closer to happiness. So that's the Webster's Dictionary of Value. I want to talk a little bit about what our approach is. And some of you have heard me speak at the workshops that we did a little while ago. We're a coach and speakers for Bob Burg, who has a book called The Go-Givers. And The Go-Givers has 5 values. Today's conversation is basically on value. And the law of value is your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. I'm going to say that again. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. So if I go back to my Mr. Mike's and Gotham's story, both of those steakhouses provide the exact same product. It's a piece of meat. It's the sides, it's everything else. 2 different price points, 2 different markets that they go after, but the person who's going there is receiving the value that they expect, and they're getting more in that value. I'm sure between all of us here, we can probably make better steaks than Mr. Mike's and Gotham's put together on a good day with a good barbecue and a good piece of meat. But we still choose sometimes to go to these restaurants for that purpose. Now, if you start looking at what is price versus what is value, price is a dollar amount or a figure. It's finite. It's a fixed dollar amount. Whereas value is a relative worth or desirability of a thing, product, service, concept, etc., to the end user or beholder. You can't put a price on value. Now, I want to start talking about, the experience of value. If we start talking about, imagine you had a jar that was empty, and I call that the value bank jar. As soon as you say hi to somebody and you build a relationship, the value bank gets higher. So that jar gets full and full. If the second conversation you have is about price, imagine you're a realtor or you're a car salesman, and right away you're talking about price at the second conversation. The value bank hasn't gotten up there. Now you're dealing with price issues. So in the car industry, for example, you may lose a deal over $100 because the value just wasn't built. The idea is to build the value bank, fill that value jar as much as you possibly can before you even talk price. Because once you get to the top of the value jar and you start talking price, price doesn't matter anymore. So the intrinsic value and the extrinsic value is the value of your product or service simply by very nature of its design function. So a cup of coffee is a cup of coffee. And you're paying $1.80 for a cup of coffee. That's the value of it. The extrinsic value is the value of the entire experience based on the additional value you bring to it. So you go to Starbucks for a cup of coffee. It's a hi, how are you? And I go to my favorite Starbucks barista in Morgan Crossing here. And every time I walk in, they know me because I go there quite a bit. My drink is almost ready and it's almost perfect by the time I finish. And I say almost because if I go there and it's not the same barista, I'm a high maintenance coffee drinker apparently, and it's a little bit off. And I get, I don't get upset about it, and they make it work. And as they get to know me, the drink gets better and better each time. So I keep on going there because I know I'm going to get a good drink, and the experience I receive at that Starbucks is incredible. Where I live, there's probably 5 Starbucks in a 2-mile radius. I choose to go to this one because it's the most friendly, they know me, and it's consistent. So that's the extrinsic value that they bring to me. Now, we talk about what is value. Value is you. There is no such thing as price on value. You can't design a function of value. Value is you as a person and how you build that relationship. So the 5 elements of value. We talk about excellence, and I talked about that at Gotham's and over at Mr. Mike. So the excellence is the core competencies, and just as importantly, how you make them feel at each and every touch point. Being excellent in everything you do, the conversation, hi, how are you, firm handshakes, eye contacts, getting to build that relationship right from that first moment, and being excellent in everything you do. If you say you're going to do something, follow up, and make it happen. That's living that excellence world. Then we talk about consistency. It's what communicates about you and what your company's culture is. Be the same in everything you do. Find the process, follow it, and it works really well. Then you design it, then it becomes natural. There's no making things up. You're actually being consistent because that's exactly what you're used to. Attention to detail. The ability to focus on them, not as prospects, but as human beings, digging deep, the extra step. Talk about the details, every single thing that you talk about. So realtors or car salespeople, start looking at the details about that person, about that deal, and really get to know them and pay real close attention to who they are. Empathy is huge. The identification with or vicarious experience of another person's feelings. Take on what they're going through. They may be coming into looking for a new car because either the kids got married or they got into a really bad car accident. 2 different feelings. but you've got to take that on and understand what they're feeling. Somebody may need to buy a new house because of a separation or a divorce or a lottery win. Two totally different feelings and two different emotion states. You've got to take on what they're feeling, and so you can experience exactly what they need. And then you have to appreciate them at every single moment. This one here is, we take it for granted. We always look at customers as we're doing the good for them. I always take it as, like I started this conversation saying, thank you for attending this webinar. To me, it means so much that you're sitting here on a Wednesday morning, spending an hour listening to what I have to say, taking the time out of your busy schedules to do this. And I truly appreciate you wanting to learn. So to me, it's about appreciation at every single moment. We talked about appreciating after a phone call, after an email or a meeting. It's getting on the phone and saying, it took so much time for you to come out and see these houses with us. I really appreciated your time. I'm hoping that it was beneficial for you, and I look forward to seeing you again. That's it. It's not about the follow-up. It's not about, hey, what did you like about that house? Or, should we go ahead and put an offer in this house? No, it's about just appreciating them taking the time and really making them feel important about that. So those are the 5 elements of value. Now, if we start talking about a little bit of excellence, I've been beaten up about this example, the Ritz-Carlton, but I want to stick with it. Everybody knows the Ritz-Carlton. Whether you like it or not, Ritz-Carlton has the industry standards for excellence in the hotel industry. People may not go there, may never been there, but they all know Ritz-Carlton's excellence in value and excellence in service. Consistency, well, McDonald's has a great process. Anybody who's ever worked there, we always tell our kids, you have to go to McDonald's and get a job there because that's where you learn about processes. Everything's exactly the same. They're very consistent in every single thing they do. Attention. Travel agents are one of the most detailed people that actually give attention to the prospect or for the customer. And I say that because imagine right now, you're seeing all these hurricanes happen. If you did your bookings through Expedia, for example, and didn't have a travel agent involved, you may not even know it's hurricane season. Whereas a travel agent would know it's hurricane season and possibly warn you. And if not, if warn you, but also they may even have a backup plan in case you need to get out. So attention's, travel agents. Empathy, well, Blood Center, it's nothing else to be said there. You're going there, they understand what's going on. They are very empathetic to your situation. And appreciation, an accountant, I'm not really sure about this example, but a lot of people are leery about that. But to me, if I look at the accountant, they're appreciative of everything that they do for you. And also, if I look at the accountant, and here's the value in the accountant's perspective. They do your taxes for you. You probably pay them $1,000, $2,000 a year in a corporate tax environment, but they save you $15,000 to $20,000 in taxes. Now, you could do it yourself, but you may not save that $20,000. That's their job. They do a great job what they do. Now, when they give you the bill, you may look at it and say, wow, it's that much. But then you also know you just saved $18,000 in taxes. So you're more than willing to pay it. And then you go do it again next year. So that's the whole examples of value there. So let's look at the law of value. Value is always in the eye of the beholder. How do you know? How can you discover what they believe is of the greatest value to them? Well, let's go back to that. How do you know that they're getting the value? It's always in the conversation back. Now, right now it's interesting. I'm talking to a microphone and a video. I'm not getting any feedback back from you guys. So to me, I'm not really sure if you're getting value on this. I'm just talking. Now imagine if you were at a sales process and you're a realtor or you're a car salesman or even a waiter or waitress at a restaurant and the customer isn't giving you feedback back. you're probably thinking there's no value. And it's possible that's true. Value is perception on the relationship that you build. You can always imagine that your best sale that you've had or the best experience you've had, it's been a friendly relationship that you built. You built that, they purchased, you were friends, you talked, and there was a conversation happening right through from the high right to the end. So that's how you know whether they're actually receiving the value. Now, how can you discover what they believe in is of the greatest value to them? Ask them questions. We're going to get into some of these things about discovery questions. Ask them what they feel, how they feel, what they need. Make sure that you go back to your 5 laws about appreciation, about excellence. And then, let's just talk about a little bit about what is selling. Now, selling is, well, the incorrect thing is trying to convince someone to buy something they don't want or need. The definition is discovering what the other person wants, needs, or desires and helping them to get it. And I know there's a number of realtors here, so I'm going to use realtor as an example. Say I'm looking for a house, and I come and find one of the realtors, and I walk in and say, look, I'm looking for a house in this area. And you go, great, I've got the perfect house for you. Let's go take a look at it. I haven't even told you what I need, but you still think it's a perfect house. So now that's the convincing somebody to buy something because it's for your purpose, not for their purpose. The ideal is, let's sit down, have a conversation, find out who I am, find out how many kids I have, what I do for work, where I've been living, what my history is, what I like to do, find out how big of a garage I have, how many toys I have, all the little details that make me a person. Then you need to sit back and really discover what the matches are. Then you start showing the properties. Now, the people that are on this forum right now, this webinar, you do this already, and you know you do this. That's why you're here. You want to take this to the next level, and that's what we're going to start looking at, is the little things that we can start doing to provide that additional value. Now, as we move ahead in our 5-week webinar, we're going to talk a lot about, once you provide the value, what happens? What happens actually is you start getting referrals. I did that session with you guys over at Sutton a little while ago, and I basically said, I'm going to provide enough value today, and I want to see if I can get referrals out of you guys. And realtors, most of the realtors get referrals after the sale is done. And I'm going to take it, and I'm going to invite you to listen to this again, is that your referrals come from the moment you say hi and meet somebody wherever you are. And that's where referrals come, and that's where the value conversation starts. So we're going to start talking about that in, I think it's the week 2 or week 3 of the sessions. But let's start talking, go back into the definition of what selling is. I give you the example about asking the questions about who I am, what I am, and then giving me the options at the house. So discovering what the other person wants, needs, or desires, and helping them to get it. No, the old English root of the word sell is salam, which actually means to give. I guess we've Americanized it, and selling hasn't been to give. Selling is to make profit, is to make money. Let's go back to what selling really is to give. And what are we giving? We're giving time, we're giving attention, we're counseling our connections, we're educating them, we're providing empathy, or we're being empathetic, I guess. And then most of all, it's the value that we're providing to them. That's what selling is. Bob Burg and John David Mann, they are the authors of this book, The Go-Giver, which we're coaches and speakers for. They basically say money is an echo of value. It's the thunder to value's lightning. I love that. It's the thunder to value's lightning. So we start talking about sales processes, and there's a traditional sales process, and here it is right here. We prospect, we qualify, we present, we overcome the objections. I love those objections. Then we close, we follow up, and we provide customer service. A great sales process has been proven. It works well. Now, I invite you to look at the go-giver sales process. And remember I said there's 5 laws, right? Now, you would look at the circle and you would say, okay, so where does the sales process start? And I'm gonna just let you think about that just for a second. And I'd love to hear some answers. So maybe in the chat window, I'd love to see somebody put in where they would start the sales process. Don't be shy, everyone. There we go. Okay, so I got one that says, stay open. You know, the interesting part is that the sales process, the go-giver sales process, it starts any of these options, any of these circles, anywhere in the circle. You can start the sales process by creating value. You can start the sales process by touching somebody's lives, by building networks, which is the referrals, being real as the person you are, and then staying open. Imagine it's no longer a sales process. It's actually the any of these items is actually the start of your process. So we start by creating value in the conversation. You follow through your sales process. You come back to this one here. You know, you provided value. Now you overcoming the objections because you were real. You asked the discovery questions. The objections are kind of put aside. They're not there anymore. Now, this is all perfect. You know, we've talked a little bit about what the value is, where we're going, what value consists of. If you don't know what you stand for and who you are and why you do what you do, it's very difficult to provide the service and provide the value of what you really believe in. I'm just going to step back just for a second. I'm going to talk about the 5 laws that we're going to cover over this whole 5-week program. Today is law of value. The second is law of compensation. Law of compensation basically means providing enough value to enough people and you get paid for it. The law of influence is putting other people's interests first. The law of authenticity is being real. And then the law of receptivity is the appreciation and receiving the good. Now, if you put all those 5 things together, that's you as a person. Now, as we move ahead, we start talking about why are you doing what you're doing. And there's an incredible speaker out there called Simon Sinek. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but the next slide is gonna show a little 5-minute video of Simon Sinek on how to figure out why you do what you do and who you are. So let's spend a couple of minutes and look at this video right now, and then we'll continue. And if there's anybody not, actually, Simon, could you maybe just promote somebody to a panelist? I just want to make sure that they can hear it.
I'm actually logged in as an attendee.
Okay, perfect, thanks. So just let me know if there's any issues with this, okay, coming up.
I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You ready to buy a computer from me? All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. Sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right. Because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal?
Pizza Pops.
I've always
Can you hear me again, Sama?
Yes, we can. We can see
Okay,
your screen
perfect.
as well.
Great, thank you. So that's an interesting way of looking at things. It's I love Apple's analogy. If you guys may remember, there was a number of different people out there who came up with MP3 players, but they're not around. Apple sold the experience of easiness. They sold what was what the customer was looking for. That's why they're successful. If we use the realtors, or if we use car salespeople as an example, realtors, for example, you're selling somebody a piece of property, or are you selling somebody an experience of where their life is going to be? And if you're selling them a piece of property, that's all it's for, that's perfect. That's what your why is to sit there and make the profit on that sale. But you'll be a lot more successful if you actually found why that customer wants what they want, and you knew why you're doing what you're doing is to bring happiness to somebody else. I used to own an IT company for about 25 years. And I went through the same exercise about 6-7 years ago with our coach and consultant and tried to figure out why I was doing what I was doing. And it really came down to, it was about bringing success to other people's lives. And it wasn't about just the other people's, it was actually about their customers. So remember, in the IT world, our customers were car dealerships, our customers were retail stores, our customers were accountants. It wasn't about bringing success to the accountants. It was about bringing success to the accountants' customers. It was about bringing success to the car dealerships' customers. So if the person who came in to buy that minivan left happy and ecstatic, we took it upon ourselves to make sure that they did that. So what would we do? We would make sure that the experience that they received there when it came to technology was 100%. So they would be able to do their jobs. The car salespeople would be able to do their jobs so that they can give the incredible experience to the customer so they would get what they want. So we took it even one step beyond about success to our customers, about success to our customers' customers. So that was our why, and that's what I figured out who I was. And that in turn also affected our relationship with our employees. So when we would get a complaint from a customer about something going wrong, we took it personally. We actually got upset that we didn't do a good enough job to make them successful. We didn't hurt ourselves or get upset with ourselves that we didn't do a good enough job. We just took it and say, we hurt them by not being successful. So how do we make them successful? How do we make them happier? How do we make sure that their customers are taken care of? So we took it personally. So that was our big why. And when that happened, the shift in our company totally changed. And we were able to be in an environment that everybody was aligned and moving forward. So that was kind of our why. I invite you to go to Simon Sinek's startwithwhy.com. Simon, if you can put that into the chat window for everybody, that'd be great. Go to that, spend some time on that website and really figure out what your why is. I'd love to hear from somebody at this point, if somebody knows what their why is. If it is, just put your hand up and Simon will make you a panelist and talk about that. Yeah, perfect. Kind of figured that. There's the why is a very difficult question. We do workshops that are 2 days long and people still don't figure out their whys. So it's not an easy process, but I really invite you to look a little bit deeper at this and figure out what your why is. You know, once you know what your why is, you'll be able to figure out how you get to what you need to do and what you need to do and be consistent at it. Remember, consistency was part of your value proposition. You know, people don't buy, well, this is Simon Sinek's phrase, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Apple is a perfect example of that. I love, Inessa, thank you very much for sharing that. You love helping people. That's great. And that makes you a person that wants to do that. Now tell me, are you, Simon, is she, yeah, perfect. Inessa, yeah. Share that with us. Share what does that mean to you? What does love helping people mean to you?
Well, you know what, when you said it's a bit of a difficult question, right away I asked inside of myself, what is it that prompts me to do what I do? And it's not only about work, you know, every day. Mm-hmm. And I just instantly found this answer, and this is what it is. And I think it's always been there inside myself and my life. It is very fulfilling to see the results in other people. Mm-hmm. Yes, in different areas. It doesn't have to be specifically on the work area.
So now, if you take that concept about everything you do, you just love helping people, and yes. you're a realtor, but imagine you're just helping somebody find their dream home, but it's not even the property that you're selling. It's actually making sure that you're helping them achieve where they want to get to. The sale just happens, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
It's no longer a thing about price, or somebody asks about, hey, how much commission am I making? I mean, I'll tell you, your realtors have it tough. You do, and the biggest thing, the reason I say that is you have to do a lot of work in building the value on that transaction, because the real estate commissions are a high amount dollar value that the prospect or the customer notices and sees right away. And they have to put that aside because of the work that you do. So you can't just be selling a property. You have to be selling an experience to account for that commission.
Right.
So when when you start doing that, people are ecstatic about the transaction, they're ecstatic about that whole process. And that's where the value came in. So I appreciate that. Ali, you've got another one here. So I'd love to hear what that is. It says, my why is to help my investors' clients not to make mistakes I've done during my 15 years of investing in real estate. So what is your big why, Ali? Oh, you're moving around. Okay, we have a bad connection here, Ali. So we're going to put you on mute for a bit. We're going to put you on mute, and we'll continue.
Sorry, actually, I have to attend this webinar. Okay.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so we'll just put you on mute. We'll get back to you, Ali, in a second. So let's just go back to the what I said here about people don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it. A perfect example of what Apple's done. Ines, I love your why. Just help people, and all of a sudden, that sale will just come in. So imagine, here's an example of what your why statement will look like. To do something so that they are this. So Simon Sinek's why? To inspire people to do the things that inspire them so that together we can change our world. That's pretty powerful. To inspire people to do the things that inspire them so that together we can change our world. Just want to let you know, that video I showed you for Simon Sinek's, that's the most viewed video out there. And that's at no charge. He just gives it away. He inspires people to look deep into why people do what they do. Now, I can tell you, Simon Sinek is doing very well. He's very wealthy from the side business he gets out of that conversation, but he's actually there to inspire people. And then he wants to change the world. The Go Givers International, Go Givers is again the company that's written the book, to inspire the entrepreneurial spirit in each individual and help create a go-giver culture in every company by sharing the go-giver way of doing business and living life so that prosperity is created for everyone. Now, I'm just gonna, how are we doing for time? Time for one quick story, Saima? Yeah, okay. So, this is actually a perfect segue to this. So this book, the Go-Giver book, was given to me by Saima. I'm going to say about 6 years ago. She started working for me at my IT company and says, Licky, I've worked with you a little while. I want to give you this book. I think it's an incredible alignment of what you do, but this will probably give you an understanding of what this is about. Now, when I got this book, I hadn't read a full book end to end since high school, especially business books. When I get a business book, I would read it, read 2 chapters, and I'd go to the next one. This book, I sat there for 2.5 hours and I read the entire book. It really made a line that if I can put this into play at my office, into my customers, people will have the same culture. So from 5 years ago to now, I don't even know the numbers. I'm going to say between 300 and 400 books we've given away. Now, I've only made impact at 400 people. But the idea is if we can get this cultural shift happening out there that makes an impact to everybody else, and people are talking about value in their relationships, value in their customers, value in their employees, it actually changes the way life is. Go-Givers, why? They've actually succeeded that with us just by providing that. So here's an example of what your why statement will look like. This is, Simon, this is going to be a worksheet that we're going to give out, I'm assuming? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Here's the best one here. Ultimately, people do things for their reasons, not ours. And I use an example of quotas. And sorry to put the car salespeople on the spot here, but at the end of the month, they are notorious just saying, "Hey, we've got a deal for you today. It may change tomorrow, but if you buy today, you'll get this deal. We're not sure what's going to happen tomorrow." Customers are going to buy because of that. The only person who gets away with quotas is the police officer, because he has to give away 50 tickets before the end of the month, and he can do that. You can't argue with it. That's the only person who gets away with it. Salespeople who start using quotas and pressure tactics for the end of the month and for their own reasons, the sales just don't happen. If they do happen, you'll never get a referral, and it won't be a happy customer at the end of the day. So remember, we're looking at what are their reasons. We have to find out what their reasons are. Now we're at 8:45. I want to go through this, and I want to really open this up for the last 10 minutes and have a Q&A. So what are their reasons? Well, everyone seeks happiness. Happiness is a relative state, and resources are limited as well. So that's Harry Brown's secret for selling anything. If you create happiness and you find their limited resources, everything's going to work out just perfect. Now, what is the definition of happiness? The mental feeling of well-being, a genuine and ongoing feeling of joy and peace of mind, the result of living congruently with one's values. Now, peace of mind, congruently with one's values. When we do business workshops, and I'm sure you guys have all heard about core values, right? What are your core values? I use the word gut values there. And the gut values meaning, if I'm doing the right thing, my gut doesn't have that butterfly feeling or looking over my shoulder, I didn't do something right. So if it fits within your values and you're following it, you're actually at peace of mind. Now imagine that's the state of happiness. So the mental feeling of well-being. Well-being is living in your core values. So why do people do things that so obviously cause them unhappiness? Well, the first answer to that is usually they are in it for the profit. They're in it for the money. And that only goes for so long. Now, you've all chosen to be here for an hour for 5 weeks because you know that money at the end of the day isn't what it's about. Money will come once you build the relationships, once you build the networks. The relationships that go on deeper and deeper actually cause happiness to everybody else. So you're not here because of the unhappiness and the profit type of things. So why do people do that? That's their choice. That's what they do, but it's a very short-term sight. Now, we talked a little bit about sales process stages, what the actual process there was. So I want to just talk a little bit more about what value does and where it comes in. You all chose to sit here for an hour today and listen to me. Some of you I've met, some of you I haven't met. The people that are on this call came on this call for a couple of different reasons. They either heard me at one of their workshops, somebody asked them and said, "Hey, listen, Vicky's doing this workshop. I think you should attend. It'll be a good value for you." It was a referral that gave it to you. It was a word of mouth. So the value was already built for us to be here, for you to be here as well. Now, if we've marketed this all over Facebook, we haven't had a single person off Facebook come onto this. Am I right, Saima?
Yes, you're correct.
Perfect. And that's the exact answer I wanted. We are not in the business of building business from Facebook leads or LinkedIn leads. We are in the business of building value to our customers that we know, building relationships. Realtors, car salespeople, it's the exact same thing. It's that relationship building that you do that provides the value. I want to just jump forward for a minute here about what value will bring to individuals and where you're going to go with this. If we start building that conversation and build that value ladder or value bank to everybody right off the front, right off the bat, that conversation gets so much easier. That conversation to the sale or the actual end result becomes a relationship. It doesn't become a sales process. So, we've got a sales process here that we talk about. You attract potential customers, you capture leads, you nurture them, you convert sales, you obtain referrals. This is a sales process that has to happen. But when you start building relationships, these 6 items actually just happen naturally. So I want to just make sure that we're not going to do this to say, this is what you need to do, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. No, the idea is build the value bank, then all these things will just happen. And I invite you to look at that. And we're going to share some of these 90-day action plans in our workshop, in our email after this. Now, so the objective here is to guiding you to get more clarity, focus, and alignment so that you thrive in your business. Remember, today we've started talking about the value conversation. The value conversation takes me about 4 hours to talk about. We're going to condense this into 2. So today is the part 1. Next week will be part 2 of the value conversation. Then we're going to talk about the other 4 laws over the next 3 weeks after that. Now, I'm going to stop at this point and open this up. And Sam, if you can make everybody into panelists, and I'd love to have some conversations, any questions you have around this, any feedback that you're looking for, or any feedback that you have for us. I'd love to open that up. I love putting people on the spot with videos and audios and saying, hey, go for it, ask the questions.
All right, everybody is on and unmuted.
Okay, who wants to go? Anybody want to share about how you provide value? Okay, I'm just gonna have to pick somebody.
All right, I can say.
Okay, who's this? Hello? Somebody started talking.
Tap to speak.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. This is Ali.
Hey, Ali.
So I'm sorry I was at the running through a bad network patch. That's why I couldn't communicate earlier.
No worries.
The answer to your question about the value I provide to my clients is what I see in my clients, like you mentioned exactly that. I see what their needs and whys are. I don't want to dump anything on them which is waste of their time, mine, but the value what it comes in. I do an extra effort as I'm buying for myself, as I'm buying for my family. Any client that comes through my way, I look at every single thing very, very uniquely and very deeply as I'm buying for myself. So I don't look at the commission. I don't look at what it is. That's a byproduct I've learned from you. That will come. Now my business is mostly referrals. I don't go out market anything because I don't want to overcommit and underdeliver. So I only handle those what I can handle, and that's the reason I keep getting referrals every day.
Excellent, excellent. So you build the value, and everything you make is a byproduct of that. But most importantly, because you're building the value, you're getting referrals from those as well.
Yes,
excellent,
absolutely.
Excellent. Great. Thanks for sharing, Ali. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else want to share what their process of value is? Oh, go ahead. Was that Aaron trying to talk? No. Okay. So, Harpal, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
What are you doing to provide value to your clients?
For me, value means answering all their questions, they come to us because they think we are somebody who know more in real estate than them. So they come to us with the thing in mind that Harpal is the person who would be able to answer all our questions. Harpal is the person who can guide us to get to the right house, what we need. To get there, I need to know what they want first. As you mentioned earlier, it's always good to ask them what they are looking for, what their needs are, what their wants are. So after checking all their things, then we come to a place where they would love, that would be much better for them. It's a value that they are buying. It's just not a house they are buying. It might be their dream home they are buying. So answering all their questions, helping them through their what they're looking for. So for me, it might be the value for them.
Excellent, excellent. So you're listening to what their needs are and actually building conversations and then providing the product at the end. So you're following the value ladder, which is great. So one of the things that we're going to do as we move ahead in this course is we're going to build a value ladder. I talked about that value jar.
Right.
We're going to build, and you're going to build your own value ladder and saying, okay, when I first talk to them, when I say hello to them, this is the value that I'm bringing to them. So you know exactly the process to follow.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to build that up. So by the time it comes down to the actual transaction, the value is built. So the money doesn't matter at that point. It's just going to happen.
True.
Okay. Okay, anybody else want to share any value? So if you look on my screen right now, I've got a couple of examples of discovery questions. We're going to send this off to you in the second section, but I just want to give you an idea of what things you can actually ask so that you can build that relationship a little bit deeper. Okay. So anybody else want to have anybody else have any questions regarding value or want to share what they do for value?
2 minutes out.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. All right, so here's what I'm going to wrap this up. We've got 2 minutes to go. I want to be very cognizant of your time. You guys all have business to make and hopefully provides a little bit more value today than you did yesterday. And you're going to put this into practice. Next week, we're going to talk a lot about, I'm going to go back to the slide that we're going to start off with. We're going to start talking about the target audience, who the actual person that you're working with. And if I just say this right now, your customer is the hero and you are the guide. I want you to really think about that. I'm not going to even talk about that, but just really think about what that means to you. You are not the hero. Your customer is the hero, and you are the guide to get them to where they want to get to. So I'm going to leave it at that. Again, I appreciate every single one of you to take the time today to listen to us, and hopefully you got some value out of this conversation, and you will learn, and hopefully you learned something out of this. We're going to send a follow-up email with the recorded webinar, some of you who are taking some calls, with some worksheets as well. So we look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday. Anything in between, please reach out. If you want a one-on-one call with any of this stuff, please reach out. We'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Licky.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Licky. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Good day.